Hey y'all, new how-to video is going to happen today. Today we're going to actually teach you how to make some ribs. I'm going to get the old Traeger out today, show you how to make ribs on a Traeger. Man, it just depends who you ask. Some people say I'm cheating. Some people say it's the only way to do it. This is how I do it. Maybe a little different, but I love how it turns out. My girls eat it. Tastes delicious. That's what matters. So I'm going to walk you through some steps on how to make a rack of ribs. To start out, we're going to turn on the smoker and preset the temperature to 165. That is the lowest my smoker goes, gives the best smoke. So we'll get that started, and while that is heating up, we're going to go get the ribs prepped. All right, all we need today are just a few items. We got the pan, 2 racks of ribs. I'm gonna grab some of the best tinfoil I have found to do this. If y'all are in Texas and you have an HEB nearby, here you go. The heavy duty HEB Texas Tough tinfoil. Then we're gonna actually run 2 different kinds of dry rubs. I'm grabbing those out of the pantry right now. One of these is a Tennessee dry rub from Martin's Barbecue, and the other one is the Texas style Zach's Barbecue sweet rub. Really the biggest differences here is the Pat's hot dust. Honestly, it's not that hot. It's just not as sweet. Whereas the Texas barbecue sweet rub is definitely a sweeter rub. I like them both. They're just different. We're gonna go and pull these ribs out of their packaging. While I'm pulling them out of the packaging, I'm actually gonna rinse them off, and we'll show you what the next steps are. All right, now that it's all rinsed off, we're gonna get this a little bit of extra moisture off of them. We want to get the extra blood and bone fragments off of this meat so it is nice and clean. So next thing is we're gonna pull this membrane off. You see right here, back and forth, you see me touching that. That is the membrane that's on the back side of those ribs. They're not all this easy to get that separated. It does help that these ribs are defrosted. They are not to room temperature. They are cold, but they are not frozen. Get this membrane off. If you've ever had ribs with that membrane on there, it's just kind of adds like this chewiness to it. They just don't fall apart like you feel like they should. everything's wiped down, membranes are off, I'm washing my hands. You'll notice throughout this video, I've washed my hands a ton of times. I really do not like to cross-contaminate, especially with pork and chicken. So these are pork ribs, so washing my hands. I don't wanna get those pork juices on these containers of dry rub. So now it is time to coat these dry rub. I like to do the bone side first. That way I can flip them over, do the meat side, and then let them rest. Ideally, I like to let these rest half an hour to an hour, sometimes more. I said earlier in the video, my girls love these ribs. I have 3 little girls, kind of tough to get the opportunities to just think ahead and get these all done. So last minute, I still throw these right on the smoker and they turn out delicious, but you can let them rest. Just kind of marinate in the dry rub for the next 30 minutes to an hour after you get these coated. All right, now that I got them coated, it is time to go take these to the smoker. So we're gonna take them out to the smoker. Everything's already pre-warmed up to 165. That's where I'm gonna get the best smoke so I can get a good smoke ring on these. As you'll see, I do these meat side up, so bone side down on the smoker. It's always good to know your smoker. Most smokers have hot spots on them, or barbecues have hot spots. So luckily with mine, my hot spots are the far left side and the far right side. So as long as I keep these centered, we are in good shape to not get any extra cooking done on one side or the other of these ribs. So once they're on there, double check the temp, set to 165, good to go. And we're gonna set our timer for 1 hour. Our 1 hour smoking is done. It is time to crank this up to 185, get some more cooking done on it, and then we're gonna set the timer for another 2 hours. So this will be the mass of our cooking portion of it with it uncovered. So we're still getting smoke and we're getting cooked at the same time. All right, 2 hours ended. Time to wrap this meat up. So now it is time to get out this tin foil. I like to get out both pieces at a time. I just wrap both these meat up. I do meat side down. This is a big part of it. So meat side down, we're gonna pull out one rack of ribs at a time. Put my spatula there to keep it from the tin foil from blowing away. So we do meat side down, like I said, wrap this up tight, and they're gonna go back on the smoker, crank it up to 250 degrees, and we will set the time for another 2 hours of cooking. And then at the end of those 2 hours, we should be golden. right, 2 hours are up. Meat should just be about done. We're gonna pull them off, inspect them, and see if they are ready to eat. And here's how I know they're ready. You can actually see how the bones are sticking out there a little bit, somewhere between 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch. That's where I like to have them. It makes them so they will pull off the bone, but they do not fall off when you when you cut. So once these are done with this, you will set them aside. I like to let them rest for about 30 minutes before we start cutting them up. Alrighty, smoker is turned off and cooling down. Getting these ribs out, they have been resting for about 30 minutes. And time to cut them up. You see, I am actually cutting these up. I'm gonna be cutting them up rib side up. So meat side down. When you see why I'm doing it, I'll put these here on the cutting board. All right. So we'll cut this, and the biggest reason I do this is so I can see where the meat is and where the bone is. You cut it from the other side, sometimes you're cutting through the meat and all of a sudden hit a bone, and then you got a funny cut. So I always do meat side down when I do the cuts. And then you see that little bit of juice and deliciousness still left behind the tin foil. Once I put these in the container, I will use that meat juice to dump over the top just to keep it moist and keep all the flavor. They're all put in the package, in the container there. Juice is on the top. A little extra touch of deliciousness there. And we are all good to go. You can find this recipe on our Advanced Camp app. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and our website, advancedcampusa.com. Have a blessed day.